Hello and welcome back to this damn Idealistic Crusade. I just got in my gigantic Indicator anniversary sale order from their website sale, which happened in October. I had gotten, actually mixed in a pre-order, so my order was delayed until now, and I didn't mind because I knew I was trying to stretch my dollar as far as it could go, and there were so many other interesting titles in the sale and so many fantastic discounts that I didn't have a problem hitting that free shipping threshold. So I splurged in this sale and then, went much lighter or skipped other sales entirely simply because there were so many deals to be had. But I did try and balance out some pre orders that I really wanted to get in terms of a few box sets with a lot of the discount titles. So this is far more than what I normally would order, but the savings were such that I couldn't resist because they had so many titles that I wanted to pick up and ones I've wanted for a long time, and then so many that I just tried as a blind buy because they were so cheap. And there were also a number of limited editions that were in low stock, and actually quite a few wound up selling out, including some of the box sets. So anytime they do one of their sales on their website at Powerhouse Indicator, that's the time where you really need to stock up on titles or check them out if you haven't gotten any of their releases before. And even with international shipping adding into the price and having to do currency conversion and things, it still worked out to be absurdly cheap for a lot of these titles, which a lot of the standard editions were marked down to be included in a sort of secondary sale, a sort of 5 for 15 sale. And then with the currency conversion and different things, that made it even a bit cheaper than that for a lot of these titles. So I know a lot of other people wound up getting even more than I did. So this is, again, only a fraction of the titles I originally had in my cart. I did have to at least exercise some discretion. Otherwise, I think my wallet would have absolutely revolted against me. But again, the deals were such that I think this was probably, so far to date, the biggest and best sale they've ever run on their website. And I know they themselves were inundated with orders, but again, I'm just getting these now because I had a couple pre-orders mixed in. So obviously, I knew I wouldn't get them till November, and I didn't mind waiting because that gave me more time to work on looking at other titles. And Indicator shipping is, absolutely fantastic and insanely fast coming from the UK. So, once it shipped out, it was, here before I knew it. And I must say, I don't normally like to point fingers at other labels, but it was a bit disconcerting that I made 3 orders in October during various sales and things, and the 2 orders that I placed last were both from UK labels, and both of them had pre-orders that wouldn't come out until this month in November. And lo and behold, both of the larger orders that I placed that had pre-orders in them from UK labels managed to get put together, packaged, shipped, and arrive here long before I got the smallest order that I placed at Shout Factory and their sale. Actually, about a week before I even ordered either of these UK titles from Indicator and Eureka. So I actually got my Indicator package, which literally came in a big box that was packaged extremely well with about, I think, more air bubble, or I should say air pocket bits of packaging than I've ever seen in a box in my entire life. That got here about 3 or 4 days before I finally got all of my Shout Factory order, which again was only 3 titles that I picked up in their sale, and I had ordered at the very beginning of the month. So I think I'm done with ordering from Shout Factory because they are the absolute worst at shipping things. They even make deep discount look fast. That's saying something. But anyway, I found that rather interesting and amusing, and a further sign of, even in shipping and processing orders during a big sale, Indicator manages to beat most of the competition, and that's shipping overseas to the U.S. So, and their tracking is also ridiculously detailed. So when you get that notification, you go to the tracking number, you will see every single last place that it went to, and when it gets to you almost lightning fast, and really 2 business days or so, it will be packaged better than you can possibly even think of it being packaged. So once again, I am blown away by their shipping speed and their packaging skills. So even when you do have to pay quite a bit for shipping when you're not hitting the free shipping threshold, it is absolutely worth it. They don't just throw things in a box and hope for the best. Like, I'm sure a good chunk of what you're spending for shipping from them is actually going to their very expert packaging, and the time that they take with their discs, you can also feel in the time that they take to actually package things with care so it gets to you absolutely in perfect condition. So with that out of the way, let's get to stack one. I have these sort of loosely organized. So it's a mixture of standard and limited editions and a couple box sets, but these first ones I've all got sort of loosely ordered by series or director, producer, so on and so forth. So to start with, I finally picked up, because unfortunately I missed the box sets, but they had all of the other Ray Harryhausen titles available as the standard editions. So I, of course, grabbed all of the ones that I've been wanting to check out. So, of course, here's It Came From Beneath the Sea in the lovely Indicator special edition with all their extras. Of course, it doesn't have the box set or the booklet, but with all of these being included in the sale, they were all so cheap. So I also grabbed 20 Million Miles to Earth. I just went ahead and got all of them because I was kind of sad that I missed out on the box sets. And the only real difference between these and the box sets is exclusive to one of the boxes was the Indicator disc of Jason and the Argonauts, but that's really not much of a problem because they were only allowed to use Sony's discs, so they didn't get to do their sort of usual special features treatment and work on the transfer and have original audio and everything. It was basically the UK Sony Blu-ray copied over. So not being able to get that in the box set, I'm okay with, because it's not really a sort of, I guess, true Indicator special edition. It was just Sony allowing them to use Sony's disc in there. Of course, also grabbed The Three Worlds of Gulliver, so again, you are able to get all of the other titles from their box sets as the wonderful standalone special edition. So, of course, you lose the wonderful box and the booklet and things exclusive to the packaging, but at least you can still get the Blu-rays, which are, as far as I know, the best releases of Harryhausen's titles on home video to date. So, of course, also grabbed 1961's Mysterious Island. These are all, for the most part, a mixture of either 2K or 4K restorations and absolutely stuffed to the gills with extras. So, again, these were included in the sale, so they were only a couple dollars each. So, now, if you were going to get one or two of them, you might as well get the whole, get all of the releases available, because these really vault ahead of what we have here in the US, which are very light on extras. And then last is 1964's First Men in the Moon. So again, I just wasn't going to get one. If I was going to get one or two, might as well get all of them. Because when you watch these, or at least one of these, you kind of want to watch all of them. So it is a shame that Indicator didn't get to do a big special edition of Jason and the Argonauts, and I hope that happens still at some point, but at least they have been able to do these other titles, and you can get the standard editions from their website. So it's not the fancy box set that I missed out on, or I should say the two box sets I missed out on, but still, I figured I might as well grab these while they were really absurdly cheap during the sale. They had a number of new titles this year that I've been really wanting to get, and some were in the sale. So, of course, you say a Bud Bodeker Western, and I'm all over it. So this is 1969's A Time for Dying, which is a much lesser discussed Bodeker Western. Beautiful artwork. This is the new limited edition with, of course, the loaded supplemental features section, but also the limited edition with booklet and reversible artwork. So next is 1962's Experiment in Terror. This is the Blake Edwards directed thriller that I'm finding myself more and more interested in Edwards' non-comedy films, particularly things he wrote or produced, and then eventually when he started directing, because he was not an all-out comedy person as most people might think he was. So this is the standard edition. I missed out on the limited version, but it is from a new 4K scan, has a new commentary, and the usual lovely Indicator extras package. So this is another of the mini titles I've been meaning to pick up for ages. So with the 3 for $15 plus the extra discounts and things, these were so cheap that I got quite a number of them. if I had gone as crazy as my cart looked when I first started, oh boy, this video would be much longer than it already will be. Next is another I've wanted to pick up for ages. This is Indicator's special edition of Mickey 1, starring Warren Beatty and directed by the great Arthur Penn. This is the best edition of the film there is. Even though it's an older master, it has a really nice extras package, and again, it's just one I've had my eye on for a long while. I've almost got it in previous sales, and of course this is the standard edition, but still it's the same wonderful disc as the original limited version. Next, also from Arthur Penn from 1966, is the standard version of The Chase, which is a fascinating film that I haven't actually seen in quite a while. I've been wanting to get this Indicator edition. It's from a new 4K restoration, and of course the film has a phenomenal John Barry score, and it's basically the spiffier version in terms of extras compared to what we had here in the US, which got a Twilight Time release. So I've been wanting to get this for some time, and again, this standard edition was included in the sale for exceedingly cheap. I also grabbed the standard edition reissue of the Michael Powell film Age of Consent, which has both the director's cut, which was restored in the 2000s, and then the studio release version as well. So you're getting two versions of the film with an absolutely stuffed supplemental section. Just when you see the paragraph get really big on the back of an Indicator release, you know this is going to be hours upon hours of fascinating material. So, and of course that cover art is so striking. I missed out on the limited edition, and so I've just had this on my massive wish list, so I used that to sort of check off quite a number of titles in this sale. They've done a number of Charles Bronson vehicles in the past year or two. I do have one of them in the Valachi papers, but I looked at the others, and some were included in the sale. So, of course, I decided to go with the John Sturges directed title, The Valdez Horses. So, beautiful cover art here. This is the new limited edition from last year, 2021. And so, of course, still has the lovely limited edition very thick booklet. I hesitate to even call these booklets, because even though they're not, hardbound, they're still so ridiculously stuffed that it's literally like a book. So still, I guess they're still technically a booklet, but anytime I can grab the limited edition version of something from Indicator, I try to now, especially since I really have gotten hooked on these. Next, I grabbed two of the company's Paul Schrader titles they've done, which are the best versions of these films. They definitely advance over the U.S. releases in terms of the encoding and the extras. So they, of course, have done 1978's Blue Collar. This is the standard edition reissue, but, of course, still the same wonderful artwork and the same disc with the fantastic special features. So I've been wanting to get this for quite some time. The same goes for 1979's Hardcore, which, again, vaults ahead of the US releases in terms of the encoding, and of course this is also a 4K master and is loaded with a wonderful Indicator special features section. So again, this is another that's just been on my wish list for too long, and so I'm finally getting the standard edition. And then lastly for this stack, 1965's The Collector, directed by William Wyler, which is a really strong and extraordinarily dark film from later in the legendary master's career. This is definitely the type of film that, for example, Hitchcock had tried to make, or would try to make around this same time period, and was not allowed to by his studio, MCA. So this is definitely a departure from what you might expect from Wyler, and it's a fascinating film. This is from a new 2K restoration and is loaded with some really interesting extras. So again, it's another title that's been on my wish list for too long, and I was very happy to grab the standard edition. Now moving on to the other stack, and just going in rough chronological order, to start with, the limited edition of 1947's They Made Me a Fugitive, which is a real classic, and I've wanted to get this ever since they announced it. It's just been on my wish list, and it's a film I haven't seen in a very long time, and I know when I did see it before, the version was not very good, so this was just way too attractive. The artwork is absolutely beautiful. It's the limited edition, so of course it still has the wonderful Indicator book as well as the reversible art, and it is from a new 2K restoration and is absolutely stuffed with extra features. Next is 1948's No Orchids for Miss Blandish, with a beautiful cover art design. This is the limited edition, again with the reversible art and the collector's book inside. absolutely loaded with extras, right down to even including the alternate US title sequence. This is one of those titles where Indicator has done a much more fanciful job than what's available here. Here, all there is just a standard Kino Lorber release. So, if you really like this film or are interested in seeing this film, the Indicator release is definitely the way to go because of the beautiful artwork, wonderful encoding job, and of course, the absolute boatload of extras. Next, from 1953, is the standard release of The Wild One, a classic of this sort of genre. And here in the U.S., we got the lovely new Sony Master, but it's just a standard bare bones Mill Creek disc back when they were actually making good Blu-rays. So I have wanted to get this Indicator version for some time because of the encoding, the poster artwork, and of course the wonderful supplemental section. So this is another standard edition upgrade that I've just had on my wish list for quite some time. Next is the standard edition of 1966's The Wrong Box, which is a film that's been on my watch list for some time, has a phenomenal cast, and just seemed right up my alley. So I was very happy to finally pick this up. And of course, being Indicator, they have gone for a beautiful special features package. So I can't wait to dig into this. This next one was a limited edition that was going out of print, so I figured it seemed too interesting, and I had heard about it before. So this is 1969's Otley, which was written by Ian LaFrennay and Dick Clement, who would go on to eventually work some on Never Say Never Again. So I've heard them talk about this film, among others, that they had done before that sort of tiptoe into the spy realm, and it just seemed whimsical and interesting, so I figured I would splurge on a sale limited edition, and also since it was selling out, I figured I might as well try it. Beautiful artwork, of course it's the limited edition, so there is reversible art with the lovely very thick collector's book, and of course this is loaded with extras. Next is 1970's The Reckoning, which is another film that I've read about and heard about, but never actually gotten to see. And all of the reviews say that this is very excellent. And as soon as you say at least some Get Carter vibes, then okay, you've got my. That's all you have to say. So I have seen that mentioned in regards to this film, at least in several different places, that it does sort of give off at least some feeling of Get Carter, which of course would come out in the next year. So it seemed like a wonderful title to try during the sale, since these standard editions were so very cheap. Next is 1973's Badge 373. This is another limited edition that was in low numbers, and this is a film I'd actually kind of forgotten about because it definitely is following in the wake of the success of The French Connection, and starring Robert Duvall. You would think that I had seen this before, and I felt like I should have seen this before, but I just have never actually, I guess, had access to or gotten around to it. This, again, is the limited edition with the reversible art and the collector's book, and has the wonderful supplemental features package, so I was very happy to find this included in the sale. Next is 1974's adaptation of The Odessa File, which I've not seen in some time, and I'm actually very excited to revisit it because, of course, I love the novel that it's based on, the Frederick Forsyth novel, and I love the Fred Zinnemann version of The Day of the Jackal from just previous to this. So this is a film that's definitely following in the wake of that film being a very successful adaptation of Forsyth's first novel, which is also great. So I'm really looking forward to revisiting this on Blu-ray and being able to see the wonderful Indicator supplemental features package. This is a new 2K restoration and scan, so it should definitely be far beyond the way I first saw this, which I think was actually on VHS tape. I think I rented it growing up because I wanted to see the movie but right when I read the novel. So I haven't actually read the book in some time either, so I probably should do both. It'll be fun to revisit these and look at the Indicator supplemental features as well. Next is 1978's Absolution, which is another film that I saw ages ago, so it'll be fun to look at it on this Indicator release. And this is also the limited edition, which was hitting those low quantity numbers, and the artwork's absolutely beautiful on here. So this is another title that I figured, if I don't get it now, it's going to sell out, and then I wish I would have gotten it, as I have done on quite a number of these. So if you have the chance to pick up a title you might be interested in, you should, because these limited packages, they are really nice, and the books are, of course, always wonderful and really thick. So it's not just, it's reversible art and that's it. You definitely do get a a premium feel with these. This is from a 2K restoration and has a whole extras package that is quite substantial. And this is, of course, far beyond what we have here in the US with the standard Kino Lorber release, which itself is good and is probably going to be the same master. But I held out to get the indicator version because I knew it had a lot more in terms of the extras. This is another limited edition with multiple cuts that was getting in lower quantities that had been on my wish list. So this is 1979's Winter Kills with John Huston. This is a film I've never actually seen. I've seen clips and I've seen the trailer, and it's been on my watch list for some time. And I've wanted to get this ever since Indicator put it out. This is definitely much more of an obscure title. It definitely is really interesting looking because, of course, the artwork is great. This is the limited edition with lovely reversible art and a really wonderful, very thick collector's book. So when this was included and it started getting to those lower numbers, I'm like, okay, yes, I'm not going to miss out on this one too. And, of course, there is a very substantial extras package. This is a new 4K restoration and scan. It has two different versions of the film, both the theatrical and reissue versions, and it is loaded with other extras. And then lastly, this is another limited edition that was going to sell out, and I figured I might as well because I have not seen this film in, I think I saw it when I was really, really young because I can only remember certain things from it. And most of all, I primarily just remember the Peter Gabriel score. So I decided this would be the perfect way to revisit Birdie from 1984. This is the deluxe limited edition package with the beautiful, very stark original artwork. Of course, it has the very thick collector's book and the reversible art. This is a brand new director supervised transfer. It was a 2K restoration, and the disc is absolutely loaded with extras. So, of course, anytime there's a very attractive looking release like this with new scan, lots of extras, and it's included in a sale and it's about to sell out, then I'm like, you know what? This will be the perfect way to revisit this, and I'll probably regret it if I don't get the limited edition before it's gone, because again, these are really, really nice. And when you miss out on them, you know, you kind of are mad at yourself quite a bit because the booklets are again, the books are wonderful, but at least in a couple months, for those who miss out on these titles, you will be able to get the standard editions when they come out, and you won't lose anything in terms of the actual disc contents. Now, on to the last things, which of course the box sets. This one is where they do a box for a single film or a double feature or a trilogy or something. So it's a slimmer box, but it's also part of their Hammer series because they did a whole separate box for Robin Hood at Hammer. So this is containing Sword of Sherwood Forest and A Challenge for Robin Hood. These films have been very obscure on home video for the most part. I was actually tempted to get the Mill Creek Hammer collection here, even though it's using nothing but old Sony masters, simply because it had these films included. One of them also got a Twilight Time release a couple years ago, which was quite pricey. So I was very pleased when Indicator announced they would do a box set of the two of them. It is absolutely loaded with extras. So basically, this is like a slimmed down, small version, or like an addendum to their Hammer box sets in the same style, but of course smaller. And then of course the contents are really lovely because we have the Amaray case with the art for each film and the extras. The art is reversible, so you get both films, and then it's an Amaray case with both discs inside. The book is just like their box sets and runs about 80 pages, so it's almost just as thick as one of their full 6-film or 4-film box set books. Same beautiful quality, beautiful color printing, stills, essays, and vintage pieces on both films. And as always, the back has a picture of the director or producer, and this is one of my absolute favorite shots of director Terence Fisher. So that's nice that they chose that to put on the book. That's not all, because they've also included a beautiful quad poster reproduction in full color with beautiful quality, and it's reversible, so the backside gives you the quad sheet for Challenge for Robin Hood. Just absolutely beautiful reproduction quality on these. You know, it's something you can very easily hang. The quality is excellent, and it tucks away in the box. It's not a throwaway thing. When Indicator does printed materials, it is not just a piece of swag and a waste of your time. So when they say they're going to do a poster, you know it's going to be really exceptional. So yeah, definitely a frameable double-sided poster in here. I've been wanting to get this ever since they announced it and they put it in the sale, and I'm like, I'm all over this immediately. This is another of their absolutely exceptional box sets that I think they're really unparalleled in boutique video releasing, if you will, in terms of nobody comes close to this level of quality and the extras and everything. We have a release of these restorations over here, but the overall package design, extras, attention to detail just does not even begin, because they are over here, they're mostly standalone Kino Lorber releases, which are solid, but they're standalone and they don't have a lot of extras and things like that. They're not this. So this is Indicator's Mae West in Hollywood collection with the brand new restorations of pretty much the majority or most of Mae West's classic filmography, including, of course, She Done Him Wrong with Cary Grant. This is in their traditional box design with the hard case and the band. It is numbered to 6,000. I'm surprised they haven't sold out of these yet. But again, just take this in. I mean, this artwork and imagery is absolutely fantastic. This is up there with their von Sternberg and Dietrich collection in terms of, absolute catnip for classic Hollywood nerds like myself, and being an absolute work of art in terms of the packaging and artwork design. Of course, being Mae West, it's fitting that when you slip the band off, it's quite a bit revealing. So here is the box fully exposed with this beautiful shot from some of the original poster imagery, which is also replicated in other places in the set. That, of course, is also a bit of a wraparound design. That is such an incredible display piece. Again, these are all they're all pretty much, I believe, 4K restorations and 4K scans done by Universal and Sony. And then there is the massive extras package, which again shows you this is another of the absolute must-own Indicator box sets. And while, again, the US releases here, they're good, they're solid, it's the same masters, they don't contain this, and they certainly are not packaged like this. So again, this is, I think, up there with their von Sternberg and Dietrich set in terms of packaging wow factor. So again, we get the beautifully printed Indicator custom digipacks, and a number of these discs are actually double features to save space, but also still be well encoded with a beautiful extras package. So this first container gives you Night After Night with the famous She Done Him Wrong, and Indicator's traditional style, beautiful disc imagery as well, and of course is loaded with supplemental features. So the next contains I'm No Angel, also of course with Cary Grant, with Belle of the 90s, and again in the same beautiful matching disc label art. And it is filled with extras. Next is Goin' to Town, backed with Klondike Annie, and again the color just jumps off of these, so the printing quality is always really mesmerizing. And then there's the back with the extras package. Next comes Go West Young Man, backed with Every Day's a Holiday, again matching disc label, and the beautiful extras package. Then the last two are standalone features. So here we have the classic My Little Chickadee paired with the incomparable W.C. Fields. Lovely artwork, and here we've now gone for a different color on the disc label, which is something they always do to distinguish certain films. They sort of change it from black or white to a color background, which I always find interesting. Then the rear with the supplements. Then lastly is the heats on. Like the color on these is just really something. And then open to find the matching disc label. Then here is the supplemental section. This is topped off by the nearly 120-page book, Mae West in Hollywood. Absolutely chock-filled with stills, pieces on each film, brand new essays, vintage interviews, and pieces and bits of press materials. loaded with images, lobby cards, stills, just absolutely jam-packed, as all indicator books are, especially for these box sets. So if this is at all float, it seems like it might float your boat. If you're this is again catnip. This is, I mean, it's crack for us classic Hollywood geeks. So if you have not looked at any of these sets yet, I don't know what you're waiting for, but this is definitely one of the most impressive the label has ever done. And again, these books are so well done, you could put them for sale in a bookstore and people would purchase them because they are that well done and that impressive that they could be sold as a standalone book separate from the box set. But that's not all. Indicator is running a special that for those of us who ordered the Mae West box from the website right now, they'd also throw in a poster as well. They do that every once in a while with sales or certain titles where they'll throw in a poster or lobby cards or something special or a postcard. So here is the beautiful reproduction poster, a quad sheet for I'm No Angel, which has, again, I don't know how well this translates on camera, but the print quality on this is exceptional. This is very much a frameable display piece. But that's not all, because of course it's reversible, and we get the absolutely stunning artwork for She Done Him Wrong that graces the box set, but on this beautiful quad poster. So this is definitely just total frameable display piece, and it matches perfectly, of course, with the box set that features the same art. So this was a wonderful touch, and it's just one of the many little things that they do that they'll toss in to show support and thanks for those of us who purchase directly from their website. So if there's a title you're interested in, always look on their website and look at the listing or the actual information, because they'll put in bold, when they have certain special little additional bits for that they do when you order certain titles from their web store. And then lastly, this was the big pre-order title for me. I was so over the moon when they announced this because they have finally started a new Noir series. So I grabbed the first volume of the new Universal Noir series. This is done to match their Columbia Noir sets, right down to having the same sort of typeface. It's in their traditional hard case design with the band loaded with extras. These are all lovely new scans. Now, some of these titles have been released by Kino Lorber on disc here, and now I'm kind of glad I hadn't gotten some of those, even though they've done so many Noir box sets, because even when they do a box set, they don't really ever, because it's Kino, they extras and bonuses and supplemental features usually are not really their thing, outside the occasional audio commentary or the occasional special edition. So for the titles in here that have been done by Kino here in the US, these are definitely far ahead in terms of special packaging and definitely far ahead in terms of supplemental content. So of course here is the box without the band. And it's also nice that they've chosen a very particular shade of gray to distinguish it from their Columbia Noir sets. First up is 1947's The Web, which I have been wanting to see on Blu-ray for some time. It's been a while since I've seen it, and again, some of these I've almost gotten in some of the Kino releases before, but when Indicator announced they were doing Universal titles, and I was like, wait, what? So that means it's going to be really interesting to see what's going to turn up in newer volumes, or Volume 2 especially. This again is in, I guess, their sort of tried and true design for these box sets now, just like the Mae West set. Absolutely beautiful artwork, matching disc labels, and then the back carries the tagline with the beautiful supplemental section. Next is 1948's Larceny. I just love how well these are printed. It does not, I don't think it fully translates the on camera, just the detail and the color depth on these things. So I really am always impressed with these, especially when I get a set for the first time and I just start looking at it. It's definitely head and shoulders above most other standard packages you get. And then there's the rear. And I still love that they carry the taglines over on the back. It's just, that I think is an inspired touch. Next is the 1948 Kiss the Blood Off My Hands, which is still one of, I think, the beautiful titles of noir, even though it's super melodramatic. And there is the wonderful interior. And here is the rear with the supplements. Next comes 1949's Abandoned. Again, lovely artwork. There is the wonderful interior here, giving you 2 posters for the price of 1, I guess, and then the matching disc label. Here's the rear with the supplements, and again, even when the tagline's simple, I love when they carry it over. Next is 1950's Deported, and again, lovely artwork. And then we get to the sort of singular image of the box set, which basically screams, whatever you do, don't mess with Jeff Chandler because he's awesome and a badass. And of course, what are they going to do in most films if they try to mess with Jeff Chandler? And of course, probably not going to turn out well for them. Then here is the rear with the lovely mouthful of a tagline. And then lastly is 1954's Naked Alibi with Sterling Hayden. Really beautiful color on this. Just, again, these are incredibly well done. And here is the matching interior and the rear with the supplemental features. The book clocks in again at about 120 pages. It's extremely impressive. Has the lovely wraparound artwork. I think they have these down to practically a science by now. Each film gets its own section, gets its own new critical piece, gets some vintage advertising and publicity materials and interviews and context about how the films were made. It is absolutely loaded with stills, all wonderfully readable, and this wonderful hardbound book that again clocks in at 120 or so pages. So this is, as always, the best book quality you will find from any label currently doing physical media releases. These are so well done. I know I say this every time, but you could walk into a bookstore, see this on the shelf, and buy it. It's that good. It could be sold as a standalone, and nobody would have a problem with it. So, as always, the best books in all of physical media. Of course, here's the band. Always have to have a tag on the side. And then the back has the cover images with the limited numbering. So that is Indicator's lovely new Universal Noir Volume 1, brand new for this month, perfect for Noirvember, and is kickstarting their new Universal Noir series. So I can't wait to dig into this. I know I'm going to love it just as much as the Columbia Noir boxes they've done, and it'll be fascinating to see what comes next in the Universal Noir series, because Universal has really opened the library up. Again, some of these will, like the titles here, sort of duplicate titles that have been done here in the U.S. by Kino Lorber, but again, the ones that are being duplicated are going to be far beyond in terms of the package design and especially, most notably, in the supplemental features. So if you do have to double dip on some titles, I don't think you're going to regret it, because Indicator is really unmatched in these areas, and I can't wait to see what comes next in Universal Noir Volume 2. So that's what I picked up in the Indicator sale this time around. I know I went and splurged a bit more than I intended, but the prices were so affordable, and by affordable I mean insanely cheap for a lot of things, particularly all these standard editions, that I had to employ some discretion, even though I got far more than I originally wanted to. I definitely was taken aback when I saw what my original shopping cart was like, when I just put everything I wanted in my cart and got to the end, and even with the sale prices, it's like, I can't do this to my poor wallet. It's literally going to murder me if I try. But these are incredible values, and when they're on sale, and even when they're not on sale, even at their original list price, they are incredible values for the attention to detail and the quality that goes into everything that they do. And their web store is extremely easy to navigate, and it's always better when you can directly support a label. Even though they're a UK label, they are very easy to order from. If you're here in the US and you're having to import titles, their shipping is lightning fast, and the actual packaging quality is without equal. I've never ordered this many titles from them at once. I knew it would come with bulletproof packaging, which it did, but it was I was curious to see what it would look like with just this many titles, how big the box would be. And again, I don't think I've seen so many air pockets in a single box in my life. And if that wasn't enough, each of these were broken up into sections, and then about 4 or 5 discs each, or one of the boxes was individually wrapped in layers of bubble wrap. So they were basically in like little packages inside the big box, loaded with tons of extra bubble wrap and air pockets, and again, more air pockets than I've seen in a box in my life. So order with confidence from them if you've never tried them before. If you're just going region free and you're interested in some of their titles, anytime they have one of their site sales, it's a fantastic time to pick up titles that you're interested in. And this sale was the biggest they've ever done, so I didn't mind splurging, and I also didn't mind waiting a little longer because I got the Universal Noir pre-order, and so it still didn't take long at all. And once it shipped out, it was here almost immediately. So I still think they have the best shipping of any label that I've experienced, especially since it's coming from the UK. It's amazing how good their shipping is and how fast it is. So I think that's just another sign of their attention to quality and their care for the consumer, the care for how the product's going to actually be enjoyed and how it's going to get to consumers. So I hope this has been at least somewhat fun and informative to hear me once again babble on about classic films and physical media and disc releases. Indicator is really my favorite label in the world, simply due to their absolute seeming quest for perfection and trying to get as much quality into every release as they can, as is humanly possible. Again, their website is fantastic, their shipping is fantastic, and these sales they run are really excellent because they, if you do plan wisely, you can get all kinds of titles that you've really been wanting at a quite significant savings. So I didn't mind splurging in this sale. That just meant I would not go crazy in some other sales. And again, I still had to exercise discretion because I have to fight the impulse to just order everything, because I know every release they do is absolutely fantastic. So again, hope this has been at least somewhat fun and informative. And until next time, please do keep supporting studio labels and boutique labels by buying films on disc to help keep physical media alive. And thank you ever so much for watching.